My girlfriend cheated on me, and I found out about it in the most brutal way imaginable. The love of my life, at least I thought she was caught cheating by me after I returned early from a business trip. I, 25F, and my now ex-girlfriend, 26F, had been together since we were 14 and 15 respectively. We were each other's first everything. Our relationship was a near fairy tale for the most part. She was the perfect girlfriend I could have ever asked for. A few aberrations over all those years, in the form of arguments, none your regular healthy couple couldn't relate with, and as infrequent as they could have come, are all that kept it from being an absolutely flawless relationship. To set the context, we recently celebrated her business's previous quarter's financials with a vacation in Mykonos. This was in early October, just over a couple of months ago. It was as perfect could be. Sunsets, wine, talking about our future house. Our relationship was in cruise control. It was rock solid, right up until the end of October of this year. She used to surprise me with these weekend getaways, spontaneous dates, and little gifts, nothing too fancy, but just about enough to make my heart melt. Then, none of it for well over a month. Nada. Historically, she initiated physical intimacy the most out of us both. She's always had a higher libido than I do. Again, none of that for over a month. I had no reason to suspect anything sinister and just brushed it off, attributing the coldness to her work stress. She's been working her arse off for the past 6 years to build the aforementioned business, and it had finally started paying serious dividends. I thought she was just exhausted from success. Of all these shifts in the status quo, what stuck out the most by far was an incident that happened earlier in November. She was out for a night of pub crawling with her girlfriends. Soho pub crawls are kind of a ritual with them. The usual chinwag over drinks. She wanted me to go along, but I couldn't as my local football team was playing that evening, and being a season ticket holder, I rarely miss their games. That being said, I've joined in as well as sat out these crawls multiple times over the years. She's almost always acquiesced to me being at a match over almost any event that clashed with it. Red flag number 1, the missing hours. I got back home just around midnight after heading over to my sister's for a couple of pints post-match. My girlfriend texted me that she'd be late, asking me not to stay up and mentioning that her friend, let's call her A, would drop her off. I stayed up anyway and texted A, who is their group's designated driver by virtue of her sobriety, to drive safely. Imagine my surprise when A replied that my girlfriend had left the crawl hours earlier. A informed me that she had taken a cab home, much against her girlfriend's protests. Her cab finally pulled up in front of our house at about 2 a.m. When she walked through the door, I went in for a kiss. To my absolute horror, she turned her head away, marched straight to our bed, and passed out. Never had she ever turned down a kiss for me up until that exact moment in time. I brushed it off, assuming she was just absolutely pissing drunk, and let it slide. The next morning, I asked her about taking a cab when A was supposed to drop her off. She casually responded that she had a terrible headache, couldn't bear the loud music anymore, and didn't want to ruin the girls' night by forcing them to leave early. Here is the catch. It takes a maximum of 1 hour in peak London traffic to get to our house from Soho. If her timeline was to be believed, she was in a cab for almost 4 hours. I stood in the kitchen, silently doing the math. She could see the gears turning in my head, trying to piece it together. Suddenly, she closed the distance and gave me a deep, lingering kiss. My naivete, coupled with a decade of love, took over. I let it go. Red flag number 2, the digital wall. Fast forward 3 weeks. The atmosphere in our house had grown paper thin. We were walking on eggshells around each other. One afternoon, I tried getting on her Instagram to delete a story featuring me in an embarrassing pose that she had posted to tease me. For the last 7 years, we have always known each other's social media logins and device passcodes. I typed in her username and password. Incorrect. I tried again. Incorrect. She was sitting on the sofa across from me. Her phone buzzed with a login attempt notification. She looked up, gave me a wry smile, and revealed she'd changed her password in anticipation of me trying to log in and delete that story. Fair enough. It sounded plausible, and I accepted this version. What I couldn't wrap my head around, however, was what she did next. Later that evening, she removed her Instagram profile photo, a picture of the two of us she had used for the past 7 years, and replaced it with a solo photo of herself looking stunning. I was hurt, but again, my desperate need for our relationship to be okay led me to believe it was much ado about nothing. Red flag number 3, the unfamiliar scent. The paranoia started creeping in. A week before my scheduled business trip to Edinburgh, I was doing the laundry. I picked up the silk blouse she had worn to a late client dinner 2 nights prior. As I tossed it into the machine, a scent hit me. It wasn't her usual Chanel. It was something heavy, musky, and distinctly masculine. I held the shirt to my face, my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to rationalize it. She was at a crowded restaurant. She hugged a male colleague. Someone spilled a sample at a department store. I buried the thought deeply, terrified of what pulling that thread might unravel. The brutal discovery. This brings us to last week. I was sent to Edinburgh for a mandatory 4-day corporate training seminar. My girlfriend seemed overly supportive of the trip, even helping me pack my suitcase with an enthusiasm I hadn't seen from her in months. By the end of day 2, the seminar wrapped up much earlier than expected. The organizers condensed the final workshops, meaning I was free to go home a full 36 hours ahead of schedule. I decided not to tell her. I wanted to surprise her. I thought showing up early with her favorite takeout and a bouquet of lilies might break the weird tension that had been suffocating us. I took the evening train back to London. It was pouring rain when my Uber finally pulled onto our quiet, suburban street at 11:30 p.m. I noticed a sleek, black Audi parked a few houses down, a car I didn't recognize, but thought nothing of it. I quietly unlocked the front door, trying to be as stealthy as possible. The house was dimly lit. As I slipped my wet shoes off in the hallway, I noticed a man's trench coat draped carelessly over the banister. Beneath it, a pair of expensive leather men's shoes. My blood ran ice cold. The bouquet of lilies slipped from my hand, landing softly on the runner rug. I could hear faint music coming from our upstairs bedroom. It was a playlist I had made for her on our 5th anniversary. Every step up the wooden stairs felt like I was walking to my own execution. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely grasp the door handle. The door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open. There they were, in our bed, the bed we had picked out together just 2 years ago. She was tangled in the sheets with a man I immediately recognized, the primary investor who had recently injected capital into her business. The one she said was just an old, boring suit. They didn't hear me at first. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, watching the life I had built since I was 14 years old disintegrate into ash. "Get out," I finally choked out. My voice didn't even sound like my own. They both froze. The look of sheer, unfiltered terror on her face is permanently burned into my retinas. There was no denying it. No gaslighting her way out of a 4-hour cab ride. No excuses about changing passwords. She scrambled to cover herself, crying hysterically, begging me to listen, screaming that it meant nothing and that she was just stressed. The investor grabbed his clothes and practically ran out of the house in his socks, leaving his expensive leather shoes in my hallway. I packed a single duffel bag in complete silence while she sobbed on the floor, begging for forgiveness. I left the house at 1 a.m. and I haven't been back since. I'm currently staying on my sister's couch, staring at the ceiling, mourning a 10-year relationship that ended in a matter of seconds.